Hello, everyone, and welcome to iCritic Live. This is the podcast where we talk about entertainment, pop culture, and life in between. I'm your host, Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net, and thank you so much for spending a few minutes of your time here with me today. And before we begin on today's subject, I want to address the previous episode, which not a lot of you listened to, and that's fine. It was kind of personal. I knew that it wasn't necessarily going to be something that the average person would just click on, like, why would you want to listen to the troubles and downer words of a random podcaster. I just kind of put it out there just to basically feel better, I guess. But, the people who did listen, you all sent me emails, you reached out to me personally just to see if I was doing okay, some to express the appreciation that you do of the things that I do. I mean, I know I'm not the biggest podcaster out there. I know I'm not the biggest YouTuber, but my goodness, I do it for fun, and I love what I do, and it's frustrating to me when I am not feeling good to do that. And, it appreciated, I appreciate it anyway, that you people would reach out and say that, hey, yeah, we know life is tough, but keep your head up, you're loved, and, it's always good to hear that. And I'm not saying, kiss my butt from now on or leave all these comments. If anything, I want to say, it meant so much to me. I'm now actually inspired to just randomly tell people that I watch and listen to, hey, I don't know how you're doing today, but just let you know I appreciate what you do. And, maybe we should all get in there and tell people how much we appreciate their work. I think that would be a good thing. And I say that with a little bit of irony because I'm about to talk about a person whose work I do appreciate quite a bit. I don't know who's heard of the animator Jorge R. Gutierrez, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly because, yeah, even though I'm a Rodriguez, Spanish isn't my first language, but, I've been a fan of George's work for a long time. I loved the movie The Book of Life. I actually have it on Blu-ray 3D, and I've watched it in 3D the way God and probably George intended it to be viewed several times at home. He also was the creator or co-creator of El Tigre and Myra and the Three. He also did something called Chihuahua, and he spends his days on social media commenting on animation and the animation industry, and I love his takes. I love what he puts out there. I love his takes and I love his knowledge. I've actually commented on many of the things. He's never responded back, but, I commented. That's fine. He's probably got a lot of people. I mean, he has over 143K followers. So, a lot of people, have decided to, follow him, and for good reason. He's a smart guy, and he's a talented guy. That's why it pains me to make this episode, because even though I probably shouldn't take this personally, I kind of am taking it personally, and I'm not even sure why he has beef with me now. So, to give a broader context into what is happening right now, George shared a article from Discussing Film, which was talking about how K-pop Demon Hunters was tracking to be #1 at the domestic box office this weekend with $15+ million. Now, for those of you who have not heard, K-pop Demon Hunters is a Netflix film that was made and animated by Sony Animation that, hindsight being 2020, is very stupid that they sold it to Netflix, but because it just ended up blowing up on Netflix, it might actually become their #1 movie on Netflix. And the popularity obviously got to someone at Netflix, because even though they have a very big anti-theatrical stance, they decided, okay, we're going to do a couple showtimes over the weekend, and we're going to put a sing-along version in theaters, so we can call it like a special event. Well, those few screenings sold out, and they started adding more screenings. And they've added more screenings since. And now there's like over 1,000 sold out screenings or something like that, and it's not even showing in any AMC theaters. I have got my ticket for this event. I've actually never seen K-pop Demon Hunters. I am going, to be seeing it on the big screen for the first time. Okay, yeah, people will probably be singing around me. I'm just going to have to accept that, but that seems like a small trade-off if I could experience this in theaters for the first time. And I'm going to be seeing it on an RPX theater, so it's going to be a premium screen experience. And I happen to be going to the RPX in town that's really big. Like, it's IMAX challenging big. And so, good news for K-pop Demon Hunters. And, hey, anything that convinces Netflix to put a little bit more effort into putting things in theaters is a good thing, especially if it's a theatrical worthy film. I hear they're going to do this with Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I can't wait to see that in theaters. Well, George commented on this when he shared the article, and he wrote, "People can watch this at home, yet they want the communal experience of seeing it with others. This is good for everyone. This is the power of animation." Now, here's the funny thing. I took no issue with that statement. I took no issue with that statement at all. Because, I agree with it. Except for one little part. When he said, this is the power of animation. Here's the thing. As much as I kind of poo-poo on some people for saying animation is cinema, it's always under very specific circumstances. It's like when people say, oh, the Paw Patrol movie, this is cinema. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie, this is cinema. And now there's like a new saying, which was started being brought up with the Smurfs all of a sudden, where there's this really clever 2 to 3 minute sequence where the Smurfs are being chased and they're going through different animation styles. And people have been showing that scene, which is a very good scene. Definitely better than most of the movie, I would say. And saying peak cinema, which, guys, look, here's the thing. I just watched the 15th anniversary 4K re-release of Black Swan in IMAX last night. No offense to the Smurfs, but Black Swan is peak cinema. Smurfs is honestly not very good. At least that version of Smurfs is not very good. But other than that, I do believe that animation is cinema. Cinema is animation. And there have been animators all over the place trying to finally get people to admit that. Something just kind of broke in the animation community, I believe, when the Oscars handed Encanto the win for Best Animated Feature. And it wasn't because Encanto won. It was because they had 3 of the actresses from the live-action Disney remakes come up and basically belittle animation as something that kids enjoyed and parents tolerated. And so I think it was Christopher Miller and Phil Lord who were really kind of the first ones to point out that, hey, we make cinema. We don't make cartoons for kids. We make cinema. And that's when other animators start saying, yes, we make cinema. Animation is cinema. And it got so loud that the following year, when Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt presented the award, Dwayne Johnson went on a spiel about how animation was cinema, as this was the Academy basically kind of trying to apologize. So that was the only thing about the quote that I took issue with. So I quote tweeted it, and I said, wrong. This is the power of cinema. Now, I thought I was being complimentary, to be perfectly honest. I was basically calling animation a higher form of media. I was basically saying, hey, this is the power of cinema. And animation is cinema. I truly thought that there would be no issue with this comment. Heck, I was basically echoing what George was saying, but I was taking it a step further. This is, what this is very much like? This is, when someone says, well, did you like it? And the person says, no, I loved it. Like, it's supposed to make you feel happy that someone is elevating your initial compliment. And I guess George did not appreciate it, because even though I had been nothing but complimentary to him in the past, even though I had been nothing but nice to him in the post, I reached out to him a few times like, hey, do you want to come on the show? I love your work. Let's talk about your career. He decided to block me. He decided to block me because I corrected him when he said, this is the power of animation, and I said, wrong. This is the power of cinema. I was calling K-pop Demon Hunters cinema. I was calling animation a high art form. I was essentially saying, no, you're selling them too short. This is the power of cinema, of which animation is. That's what I was saying. And Jorge R. Gutierrez decided to block me over this. Now, on a positive side, because of some rule changes on X, and, in situations like this, I definitely, have mixed feelings about it. I can still read his posts. I can still read them. I can look him up. I can read the posts. So I'm not going to be missing out on anything he has to say. I don't even have to use my alternate X account to do it. I can't comment on it. I can't share it. I can screen capture it and make a comment if I want. And, I'm not above doing that for certain people. So, I'm kind of glad about that. I definitely am concerned about people who stalk other people on X. That's not a good thing. So, like I said, mixed feelings. But because I didn't do anything wrong, I'm glad that I can still read his wonderful posts. And the fact that he blocked me and apparently took offense to this is not going to change the fact that he's a great animator and a director. And I hope he gets to make another movie sometime, because I would love to see what a follow-up to The Book of Life would look like. Maybe not a sequel per se, but, just what would his next movie be? Heck, it looks like he even animated an intro for The Simpsons, and oh boy, is it crazy. But here's the thing. George, if you're listening to this, dude, what's your problem? And look, here's the thing. I've got mixed feelings about people who block other people in general. Look, if someone's being abusive or really obnoxious, I don't necessarily mind the block, but I even have issues when people block other people for asking difficult questions. Like, there was a voice actor who, had like a very public falling out with a fan. And a lot of people, including myself, said, dude, what is your problem? He's a fan. So what if he voted a way you didn't necessarily agree with? He wanted to give you a gift to show how much he appreciates your work, and you use the opportunity to publicly shame him. And I think that voice actor had every right to be criticized for that response. He didn't respond. He just blocked everyone, including me. And it's like, I think that's a cowardly way out now. If someone's going to someone and calling him every name in the book and whatnot have you, then yeah, you could probably block him. I was agreeing with you, George. I was agreeing with you that this was a good thing. I was highlighting the fact that it's not just animation, it's cinema. And from everything I've heard, I'm really looking forward to experiencing K-pop Demon Hunters in theaters for the first time, even if it has to be with a sing-along chorus. So, that's not going to be as much fun. I might have to listen to the soundtrack on the way home to get the full experience of the songs, but I'm looking forward to it. And your response to me agreeing with you was to block me. Dude, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Was this just a misunderstanding? Please tell me this was a misunderstanding. Please tell me you did not understand what it was I was trying to say. And by the way, please don't tell me that I got blocked because I interacted with your post and you have like an auto block bot for certain words, and maybe the word that you have in there to automatically block is if someone says wrong. Like, do you not want people to say to your face you're wrong or I feel you're wrong? Like, I hope that's not the case, because I'm not going to have as much respect for you if that's what happened. I'm really hoping this is just a misunderstanding. And look, I'm no one, I admit it. I really am no one. I'm no one in this industry, but not gonna lie, I love your work, dude. You're kind of a hero of mine. And you decide to block me over something as innocuous as this? I don't know, man. But, hey, this is where we are right now. So, if any of you listening to this, I'm kind of curious what your thoughts on this are. Am I overreacting? Do you think maybe I worded this in a way that he might have taken issue with? If you are listening to this podcast on a platform where there are comments that can be posted, please comment. And by the way, if you want to share this with George, I don't know if you would actually want to listen, but yeah, I would like to clear up any misunderstanding if he's even interested in that. But for everyone else, yeah, what do you think of this whole situation? I would like to hear your comments. So if you're listening to this at a place where comments are allowed, please feel to comment. And hey, if this is the first time here and you like what you hear, consider making it official. Subscribe to us. We're on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and Deezer, and all of your podcasting platforms of choice. And as always, folks, I'll see you at the movies. Take care and reach out to someone and tell them you love them. So have a good day.
Hey, you made it to the end. Thank you so much for making it to the end. Just a few more things. First of all, the names that you see on the screen, these are our Patreon and YouTube member supporters. And I thank each and every one of them. Their support helps me make exclusive videos for Patreon and YouTube members, as well as keep the channel running. And of course, is just of huge kindness to me. Also, don't forget to check out the iCritic-led podcast on Spotify, Apple, Google, Deezer, whatever podcasting service you listen to. It is there. We definitely want to see you there. And hey, there's also other videos that you can check out. So, check out these other channels, these other videos, especially that one. I think that's a really good one.